Hi students, welcome to the course Software Engineering. This is Sheikh Nandullah, Assistant Professor, Department of Information Technology, VFSTR, deemed to be University. So today in this session we are going to discuss about quiz. So in the previous sessions we have seen entire syllabus of second unit. So now we are going to see the second unit quiz. So let's start our quiz. So first we are going to see Agile Software Development questions. So in the Agile Software Development question, first one is, so select the option that suits the manifesto for Agile Software Development. So here we have to select one option that is going to suit manifesto for Agile Software Development. So here we have given options like first one, individuals and interactions, next one, working software, next customer collaboration, and last one is all the mentioned above. So here we have to select one option that suits manifesto for Agile Software Development. So in Agile methodology we have 4 values and 12 principles. So here they have given 4 values. So those are, first one is individuals and interactions. So in this Agile methodology we are more concerned about individuals and interactions rather than tools. That means we are going to interact with the individuals, we are going to interact with the clients. So that first option is also correct. So in this one, first option is individuals and interaction. So in Agile methodology, we are going to give more preference for individuals and interaction when compared to tools and software. So the first option is correct. And next, second one, working software. So working software means, so that is also comes under the one of the values of Agile methodology. So we are more concerned about working of software rather than doing the more documentation. So rather than doing the more documentation, we are concentrating on the working software. And next one is customer collaboration. So customer collaboration is very important in the Agile methodology, as we are going to interact with the client for client requirements right from starting stage to the ending stage of Agile methodology. So that is also correct. And last one option is all the mentioned. So here all are correct. So we can select the D option. So D option is correct. So the answer is D. So that is the answer for first one. Next one. Next one is Agile is a software based on, so incremental development, next iterative development, next one linear development, and last one both incremental and iterative development. So here we have different options like incremental development, next iterative development, next linear development, last one incremental and iterative development. So generally in Agile software what we are going to do is we are going to follow both iterative and incremental development. So we are going to follow iterative and incremental development because we are going to develop the software, or we are going to take the requirements from the client as iterative model or incremental model. That means we are going to gather the requirements in incremental time. That means we are going to collaborate with the client and we are going to take the requirements as per the priorities of the client, and then we are going to make increments. So after completion of increments we are going to deliver the software by different iterations. So that's why the fourth option is correct. So this is the correct. So both incremental and iterative development. So the option is D. So here see the explanation. So the software is developed in increments. So the software is going to develop in increments with customer specifying requirements which are going to be included each increment, and we are going to give highest priority to satisfy the customer, and then we are going to deliver the software, and they are iterative. So we are going to follow iterative process. So where we are going to give the software by iterative by next level. So they are iterative because they work on one iteration followed by improvements of another iterations followed by next iterations. So that is second one. Next one, which of the following is not a agile methodology? So which of the following is not a agile methodology? So in agile we have number of implementation models like extreme programming, scrum programming and unified process, ADS, like different programmings are there. So here we have option like first one extreme programming, next 4GT, next one agile unified process and all are mentioned here. So here we have to answer which one of the following is not agile methodology. So here 4GT. So 4GT is not a agile methodology. So the answer is B. So the 4GT doesn't contain the process of iteration and continuous feedback. So in generally in agile methodology we will be having iterative process and we are going to take continuous feedback from the client. So that's why that is the answer of this question. So which is not under the agile methodology because it is not having the iterative and continuous feedback facility. Next one. So agility is defined as the ability of a project team to respond rapidly to change. So the answer is false. The answer is false. So here the aim of agile methodology is to reduce the overheads in the software process and to be able to respond quickly for requirements without taking excessive rework. So here it is the answer is false because we should be ready to take the change in the requirements. So next one is how many phases are there in Scrum? So the answer is there are generally 3 phases in the Scrum. So the answer is B. Answer is B. So there are 3 phases in the Scrum. First one is initial phase. First one is initial phase. Next one we are going to make a planning, and finally we are going to make or we are going to deliver the software in sprints, and we are going to give project closure explained. Project closure phases. So these are the 3 phases in the development of Scrum. So what are the 3 phases? First one is initial phase, next one is planning phase, next one is project closure phase. So these are the 3 phases in the Scrum. Next one. Which of the following does not apply to agility to a software process? So here we have to find which is not going to apply to a agility of a software process. So let us see options. So first one is uses incremental product delivery strategy. Only essential work products are produced. Eliminate the use of project planning and testing. All of them mentioned. So in this question the answer is C. Eliminate the use of project planning and testing. So the answer is C. So here in every project testing is the major activity of each software. So testing is the major activity or major part of each software development which we can't avoid it. Because without testing no software is going to be released. So our answer is C. Eliminate the use of project planning and testing. Next, in agile development it is important to build software that meets the client requirements or customer requirements or needs. Today they are worrying about the features that might be needed in the future. So whether it is true or false. That means in this question we are going to ask like what priority we have to do. So we are not going to bother about the future requirements. So at present whatever the client requirements is there, client priority is there, we are going to bother about that. So here the answer is true. Yes, we are going to bother about the client requirements which has having the highest priority. Next one. So incremental development in extreme programming is supported through a system release once every month. So the answer is false. Because incremental development is supported through small frequent releases. So in extreme programming what we are going to do is, so we are going to deliver the software in small sprints. So that's why it is having the incremental development. So the answer is false. Next, in XP, as soon as the work on a task is completed, it is integrated into a whole system. Yes, we are going to do that one. So as soon as our software is completed, it is going to be integrated to the whole system. That means, so in XP, we are going to follow the continuous integration approach. So after such integration, all unit testing is going to be done. So in extreme programming, every day what we are going to do is we are going to test the unit testing. So after completion of unit testing, every day integration testing is going to be done. Integration means combining of two or more units, and we are going to test the interface between the modules. So that is what integration testing. So the answer is true. Next one. In XP, increments are delivered to customer every dash weeks. Every how many weeks? So in XP programming, that is extreme programming, how many days or how many weeks we need to deliver a software? So we need 2 weeks. So for every 2 weeks we are going to deliver the software. So the answer is B. So in extreme programming we are following the iterative approach. So next question is, a stakeholder is a person who will purchase the completed software system under development. The answer is false. So the answer is false, B. That means, so generally who is the stakeholder means, so the person who is getting benefited directly or indirectly, whatever the software we are going to develop is called stakeholders. So stakeholders may be client, or maybe developer, maybe software engineer, maybe analyst, or whoever the persons are interested in the project are called stakeholders. So see, stakeholders are anyone who are interested in the project. And project stakeholders are individuals and organizations that are actively involved in the project which we are going to develop. So the answer is false. Next one. Conflicting requirements are common in requirements engineering, with each client proposing his or her version is. So the answer is true. So here conflicting requirements. So what actually conflicting requirements means? Whenever the user is going to give the requirements, he may give the same requirements twice or thrice in another way. So those requirements are called conflicting requirements. So here this situation will come in every field of work, as each professional has his way of looking onto things and will argue to his point of view. So that is the answer. Answer is A, that is true. So next question is, which is one of the most important stakeholders from the following? So first one, entry level personnel, middle level stakeholders, managers and users of software. So the answer is users of software. That is D. So D is the answer. So D is the answer. So users are very important for developing the business. So without users, that is without client, so what is the there is no point for developing the business. So the answer is users of the software. So we can call users as end users also. So here, which one of the following is a functional requirement? So what is functional requirement? So functional requirement tells us how the system is going to work or features of the system. So here options are maintainability, portability, robustness. So whatever these options are there, so these are all comes under the non-functional requirements. So the answer is D. None of the mentioned. So the answer is D. So all are non-functional requirements representing quality of system. So the functional requirements is going to tell what software is going to do. So what is nothing but features of the software. Which of the following is a requirement that fits in a developer's module? That is testability. Testability. So every developer wants to test his software, so before releasing into the market. So the answer is B. So B is the answer. So a developer needs to test his product before launching into the market. So that's why the answer is testability. Consider a system where heat sensor detects intrusion and alerts the security company. So what kind of requirements of the system is provided? So here we are having an example. So in this example there is a heat sensor which is going to observe and alerts the security. So that kind of requirement comes under the which functionality? So that is comes under the functional requirement. So that comes under the functional requirement. The answer is A. Functional requirements describe what software is going to do. So functional requirements are going to describe what the software is going to do. So that is a functional requirements. Next one. Functional requirements capture the intended behavior of the system. Yes, it is a true. So the answer is true. So the functional requirements tells us the behavior of the system. So that is true. So here the behavior of the functional requirements may be expressed as service, task or functions of the system, so which is required to perform the particular task. So that is answer is true. Next, the software wear or tear by decomposition. So the answer is no, never. So does software wear or tear by decomposition? So here the answer is the software wear and tear by decomposition means, so never the software is going to be wear or tear. So the answer is no. So hardware is something which will have some time. For example, if you take a mobile, so if you purchase a mobile, it will have a lifetime for 4 years or 5 years. After that, you will be going to get the problem. Or else if you purchase a laptop, so it will work effectively for 5 years. After 5 years, you may get problem like battery problem like that. So that hardware are going to be wear and tear. Whereas software, so the software is going to be lifelong, but you are going to get only updates. So that's why the answer is no. So the answer is B. Next one. We are going to see the requirements elicitation. So here the question is, what is the first step of requirements elicitation? So what are the steps involved in requirements elicitation? So first one is identifying the stakeholders. So first basic question is identifying the stakeholders. Next, so the answer is identifying the stakeholders. So that is the answer. So stakeholders are the one who is going to invest in the software which you are going to develop. So here the next question is, arrange the task involved in the requirements elicitation in the appropriate manner. So they have given some tasks, so which are going to involve, so in the requirements elicitation, so we have to make it in a order. So they have given options like consolidation, prioritization, requirements gathering and evaluation. So whenever we are starting the project, so first we are going to gather the requirements. So first we are going to gather the requirements. So which is option of 3. So third option. Next one is evaluation. So we are going to evaluation the requirements. Next one is 4. And next one we are going to prioritize. Prioritize the requirements. So prioritize option is number 2. And finally, we are going to consolidate. The option is 1. So the answer is 3, 4, 2, 1. So the answer is B. So the answer is B. So this is the sequence. So the question is, what are the types of requirements present in the QPD? That is quality function deployment. So the options are known, unknown, undreamed. So next option is user, developer. Next functional, non-functional. Next one normal, expected and exciting. So here we have 3 types of requirements in the QPD, that is normal. Next one is expected. Next one is exciting. So the answer is D. Normal, expected and exciting. For example, if you are developing a software, normal means, so whatever the client has given the requirements in the meeting, if those are present in the software, the client is satisfied. That is comes under the normal requirements. Expected. So the client is not going to expect some requirements, so which are the developers are going to implicitly involve or implicitly develop the software. So that kind of requirements are called expected requirements. And next one is exciting requirements. So exciting requirements comes under the performances which the customer is not going to have an idea about the requirements. That means whenever the customer is accessing that one, that means graphical representations or level of performance, all this comes under the exciting requirements. So the answer is D. So the QPD contains 3 types of requirements. One is normal, next one is expected, next. So according to QPD, so it contains normal, expected and exciting requirements. What kind of approach is introduced for elicitation and modeling for a given view of system? So here, what kind of approach was introduced for elicitation and modeling to give a functional view of a system? So that is answer is use cases. Answer is use cases. So the use case captures who does not want with the system for what purpose without dealing with system internals. So use cases are going to tell like actors action and system response. So that is answer is use cases. Next, what are the kinds of actors are present in OOSE, that is object oriented software engineering? So the answer is D, both primary and secondary actors. So the answer is D. So primary actor is having a goal which is going to assist the system, and secondary actor which is going to act as a assistance which need to the system. So, and in OOSE there is no word like ternary actor. Okay, so the answer is both primary and secondary. Next question is, why is requirements elicitation is a difficult task? Because the client sometimes he is not having the clear idea about what he needs, about how to solve his problem, so how to develop his business. So you don't have the idea about the technical knowledge also. He may have a limited understanding of the requirements. So that's why it is very difficult task in the elicitation. So first one is problem of scope, next problem of understanding, next one is problem of volatility. So the answer is D, all of the above. So here the user specify unnecessary technical details. So as I already told you, so user doesn't have an idea of technical details. So he is going to confuse and he doesn't have a clarity information, and he is having poor understanding capacities. So he is having poor understanding capabilities of technical knowledge, and they do not know the requirements can change over time. So they don't know the requirements we cannot change at the over time. So these are the difficult tasks when we are going to gather the requirements in the requirements elicitation. So all these three options are correct. So first one is problem of scope, next problem of understanding, next problem of volatility. Next, requirements engineering is a cyclic process. Yes, requirements engineering is a cyclic process. The answer is true. So next question is, how many scenarios are there in elicitation activities? So generally there are 4 scenarios. The answer is D. So the answer is D. So we will be having each scenario, visionary scenario, and evaluation scenario, and training scenario. So these are the 4 scenarios which comes under the elicitation activities. So next question is, which of the following is not a diagram studied in requirements analysis? So in the requirements analysis, we have studied in use cases, ER diagrams, and state transition diagrams, but we have not studied the activity diagram. So the answer is D. So the answer is D. So the activity diagram comes under the phases of SDLC. Next, how many feasible studies is conducted in requirements analysis? So how many feasible studies are conducted in requirements analysis? So the answer is 3. Answer is 3. So B is the answer. So we are going to conduct 3 feasible studies. First one is economic feasibility, next one is technical feasibility, and finally legal feasibility. So these are the 3 feasibilities which we are going to study in the requirements engineering. So these are the 3 feasibilities which we are going to study in the requirements analysis. Next, what are the 2 issues of requirements analysis? So we have 2 major issues or 2 major roles in the requirements analysis. So one, that is stakeholders and developers. So the answer is B. Next, which of the following property does not correspond to good software SRS, good software system requirement specification or software requirement specification? So here first one is verifiable. So that is a good characteristics. Next, ambiguous. Next, complete. Next, traceable. So here the answer is B, ambiguous. So the answer is B. The SRS should be unambiguous and the SRS document should contain a uniqueness. So for developing the good quality software. The next one, which of the following property of SRS is depicted by the statement conformity to a standard is maintained? So the options are correct, complete, consistency and modifiable. So the answer is B, complete. So SRS document contains complete list of tables, diagrams and also definitions of all the terms and units. So next question is, SRS document is also known as, the options are black box, white box, grey box and none of them mentioned. So the answer is A. Answer is A, that is black box. Because, so black box means only internal knowledge will be there. So we are not bothering about the internal knowledge. We are going to check the external thing. So that means we are going to give the input and we are going to check whether our expected output is coming or not. So generally we are having black box testing, white box testing. Black box testing means we are not going to bother about the structural part. That means coding part. We are just going to bother about the front end, whatever we are saying. That means, so we are going to provide the input and we are going to check whether the expected output is coming or not. That is black box. So that black box is going to be in the that we are going to follow in the SRS document. So that's why the option is A. So the system is considered as black box whose internal details are not known. So we are not going to bother about the internal details. Question: which two requirements are given priority during requirements management of a product? So first one, user and developer. Next, function and non-functional. Next, enduring and volatile, and all the mentioned. So the answer is C, that is enduring and volatile. So enduring requirements means, so it contains the core requirements and are related to the main activity of the organization. So it contains core requirements and it contains the main activity of the requirements. So whereas volatility means, so it contains likely to change during the software development life cycle. So that contains the volatile requirements. So volatile requirements means which are likely going to be changed while developing the software. So the answer is enduring and volatility. Next question is, so consider one example, issuing the book in a catalog, that is library management system. So what type of management required is being depreciated here? The answer is enduring, because so issuing a book is a major activity. So for library management system, issuing a book are core activities. So that's why it comes under the enduring. So the answer is enduring. Next one, why is requirements management engineering is important? So it is due to environment, in technology, customer expectations and all the mentioned. So the option is all the mentioned. So all the mentioned is correct. So the answer is D. Next one. Requirements traceability is one of the important part requirements management. It may not be referred to as heart of the requirements management. So the answer is true. It's correct. So requirements traceability means, so it is only going to refer to the ability to describe and follow life of a requirements in both forward and backward directions only. Traced from its origins, that means from development and specifications. So that is the answer is true. Next question is, which one of the following activity in the requirements management? So options are investigating, that is investigation, design, construction and test and all the mentioned. So the answer is all the mentioned. So in the requirements management activity, so investigation, design and construction and test all are important. So that is the answer is D. Next, UML. So the Unified Modeling Language has become an effective standard for software modeling. So how many different notations does it have? So UML, how many notations does it have? So the option is 3, 4, 6, 9. So the correct answer is D. It is 9. So it contains 9 notations like class, object, sequence. So class, object, sequence, collaboration diagram, activity diagram, state chart diagram, component diagram, deployment and finally use case diagram. So these are the notations comes under the UML. Next, so which model in system modeling depreciate the dynamic behavior of a system? So dynamic behavior of the system comes under the behavioral model. So behavioral model is the correct answer. That means, so here behavioral model is going to describe the dynamic behavior of the executing system. So that means dynamically it is going to give. So which model in the system modeling depicts the static nature of the system? That is structural model. The answer is structural model. D is the answer. So structural models contain the entire architecture of the system. So which is used to define the static structure of classes in a system and their associations. So that is the answer. Answer is D, that is structural model. Next question. Which perspective in system modeling shows the system of data architecture? So the answer is structural perspective. So structural perspective is used to define static structure of classes in a system and their associations. So that's why the answer is structural perspective. Next one. Activity diagram are used to model the processing of a data. So it's absolutely true. The answer is A. So the statement mentioned in true and each activity responds to one step by another step. Next, the UML supports event-based modeling by using which diagram? So we have options like deployment, collaboration, state chart, all are mentioned. So we have options like deployment, collaboration, state chart, and all are mentioned. So the answer is C, that is state chart. So answer is C. So the state chart diagram or system contains states and events that cause transition from one transition to another. That means one page to another page, one transition to another transition. So the answer is state chart. Next, which of the following diagram is not supported by UML considering data-driven model? Which of the following diagram is not supported by UML considering data-driven modeling? So the answer is D, data flow diagram. Because data flow diagram focus on system functionalities and do not recognize the system objects. So that's why the answer is D. Next, which diagrams of UML represents the interaction modeling? So the options are use case sequence, class object, activity state chart, all are mentioned. So the question is, which diagrams of UML represents interaction modeling? So the answer is use case and sequence. Use case and sequence, because use case is going to tell us what the actor action and system response, and in the sequence diagram we can understand how the system is going to flow. So that means sequence by sequence. So the answer is A. So use case modeling is mostly used to model interaction between the systems and external actors by using the use cases, and sequence diagram are used to model interactions between the system components. Although external agents may also be included. Last question. A data object can encapsulate processing and operation. So the answer is B, that is false. False is the answer. So the answer is B, that is false. Because a data object encapsulates only data, and there is no reference that we can perform the data object operations. So we cannot perform any operations on the data object. So that's why the answer is B, that is false. So students, that was the quiz about the second unit. So I hope you understood all the quiz. If you have any doubts, you can contact me. Thank you for watching. Happy learning.